Wrapping up today's episode of Locked On Commanders and Locked On Browns crossover Thursday here, brought to you by PrizePicks. And Jeff, there is a chance for the Cleveland Browns to overcome this massive 3-point spread that they have got ahead of them. What 3 things must they do in order to become the underdog winner on Sunday?
Well, first things first, one of the advantages they've had to this point is they seem to be playing a little bit better on the road than they are at home. Certainly less pressure, when you're not trying to satisfy all 70,000 of your fan base. But it's because things are not going well. It sounds silly, but it's simplicity, really. This team has yet to throw for 200 yards. So there's been 2 games where Washington's given up over 300 yards, or there's been 2 games where Washington has given up less than 200 yards. You want to be closer to that 300 number, but I will take north of 200. They have not done it yet. It's going to help the defense tremendously. They're not running the ball consistently, and there's a million factors. Obviously, Nick Chubb not being there is one of them. The fact that every week we go into this, and up until about Friday, we don't even know who the starting offensive line is going to be. Sometimes it's even Sunday. So when you're talking about a new system with a new offensive coordinator, a new offensive line coach, revolving doors at who's playing what position. Joe Bitonio's played left guard and he's played left tackle. Ethan Posick has been injured. He's played center and he's played left guard. You've had guys that have played left tackle and right tackle. Wyatt Teller is out. Zach Zinter is currently your starting right guard. So it's really hard in a new system with a new offensive line coach to get any cohesion going. And yeah, in those scenarios, it's probably easier to pass block than it is to make your run game work, because run game, it's just got to be consistency. The more reps you get, the better it comes. And it's just kind of really been an issue to this point. You look at a couple of games, the numbers might be skewed. Oh, well, they ran for X amount, yards per carry. Well, no, against Jacksonville, Jerome Ford had a really long run, saved that number, made it look better than it did. Last week against Las Vegas, had another big run that made those numbers look better than they actually were. You've got to run the ball, get over 100 yards. And most of this is done because you got to get the defense off the field. And this has been a problem even last year when the Browns defense was really good. The longer they played, the weaker they got. Obviously makes a lot of sense. The other thing is, though, the last 2 games, Cleveland Browns have had over 10 missed tackles against the New York Giants and 10 missed tackles against Las Vegas Raiders. You want to look simply as to why you did not win either of those games. That comes down to it. Obviously, one game was I think it was a 5-point loss. Last week was a 4-point loss. It's simple. I mean, and these are things that make differences. They extend drives. All of a sudden, a 3 and out, is it a 7-play drive, or what would have been a 5-play, 6-play drive is now all of a sudden double digits. And then your defense is getting taxed, and now it's more pressure on the offense. So, it's just simple things. And these are things that this team has not done to this point. They need a collective effort. They got plenty of collective efforts last year, but there hasn't been a game yet where you could say, all right, this was good, this was good, this was good. You always seem that, when you get to it, and certainly get to it the second time of the All-22, you just seem like you're trying to find more out of this team. And it's kind of frustrating because the expectations for this team was sky high. We got some talk over the summer that, hey, maybe it's not looking so great, but everybody tried to justify it. Well, Amari Cooper's kind of sitting in, not everybody's practicing. Your top 3 offensive tackles aren't doing much, but you want to know what? Maybe it did mean something. And because this team is kind of slow coming out the gate, and if they can't get it right this week, the question is going to be, now all of a sudden you're scrambling really hard when over about a 12-game pace over the last 13 weeks. And look, the AFC may be close. It may be by a lot of parity, but eventually teams are going to start separating themselves, and the Browns need to get closer to this pack, like as quickly as they possibly can. Or, you're asking for, a very, very high win to loss, to close out the season to have a chance to get to the playoffs.